This is a thought experiment. It is not proposed legislation, and in no way is this legal advice. Divorce is painful, complicated, and often expensive. If you have questions about your own situation, seek legal counsel from an attorney.
You're here with me where you wanna be at the algorithm. Just you and me.
The question of legalizing polygamy is not new. On Sister Wives, legalization is framed as a civil rights issue. Later, it's framed as a way to protect women. Ironically, the protection of women and children is the foundational reason polygamy was outlawed in the first place. Since the Browns presented themselves as an example of how polygamy works, let's also use them as a framework of what happens when it falls apart and whether legal protections could have changed any of the outcomes. Marriage is a civil contract. Marriage is not just romantic, it's a civil contract defined, regulated, and enforced by the state. The state decides who can marry, at what age, with what consent, what rights you gain, and how, when, and if you get to dissolve the union or the marriage. So, if polygamy were ever legalized, the definition of marriage would have to be expanded, defining plural marriage. Polygamy can take many forms. The most common example we're most familiar with is polygyny: one man, multiple wives. For the sake of expedience, we'll break this down to two types of living situations: families broken into pods, living separate lives, or the version we see on television shows like Big Love, Sister Wives, My Five Wives, etc., the one big family model. But let's be honest, people don't need legislation when everybody is happy. So when people say, just legalize it, my response has always been, what happens when somebody wants out? Even if everyone is being amicable, division and property distribution would be an utter nightmare. Using the Brown family separation as an example, you need forensic accountants, a small fortune you don't mind burning on legal fees, attorneys, and court costs, and a few years, if not a decade, to sort it all out, just so we could get our arms around the finances. By its very nature, these types of cases would automatically be pushed into complex litigation. They are time consuming, financially devastating, oftentimes by their very nature, prohibitive. Meaning, if you are a regular family with average income, it would be insanely difficult for you, if not impossible, for anybody to leave. Unless, of course, you're ready to walk away with absolutely nothing. One family legal standard. So, for the thought experiment, I assume a one family legal standard, not one man having individual wives, but wives entering into a family unit. On these shows, we're told over and over women have agency. They can say no, they can leave. No one is a prisoner. If that's true, let's codify it. Let's put action behind those soothing words. Everyone marries everyone. In this framework, marriage would no longer be a union between two people. It would be a multi party agreed to contract. Essentially, everyone marries everyone else. This gives the wives a legal right of determination in their family. This creates real veto power. And it also formalizes that the existing wife or wives knowingly and willingly agreed to the addition. Now, traditionally, polygynous marriages center around the husband. He's the tie that binds and holds the family together. In this system, that changes. If the husband leaves, the marriage's unions does not they don't dissolve, they don't end. The family does not disappear. The wives' relationships with each other remain legally binding. And that is exactly why the men in these institutions would never voluntarily agree to this. It strips unilateral control, It forces shared authority and it dismantles the hierarchy these systems rely on. Property and debt, one pot. The most efficient approach is everything goes into one community property pot, assets and debt. Why not? Because
We are family. I got all my sisters with me.
no financial shell games, no hiding property, i.e., no putting assets in your mama, kids, or favorite wife's name. And debts, they're shared too. If you're going to share the wins, you have to share the losses. In this system, everyone is responsible for everyone else's debts. If one wife is frugal and another is collecting credit cards like comic books, everyone is on the hook, just like in every other community property marriage. Wives could become actual partners in these relationships with a real say because now they have skin in the game. That means real meetings, real transparency, real accountability. Special note, though, side note, creditors and financial institutions would love this framework. It means a larger pool of people to collect from, as well as straightforward and streamlined asset seizures, aka a clearer path to take your house and property to settle debts. That alone should give us pause as we move forward.
Message.
Children, custody, and inheritance. In most jurisdictions, children born during a marriage are legally and traditionally considered products of that marriage. So shall it be with this framework. All parents have equal rights and responsibilities, regardless of biology. On the surface, it sounds ideal. Shared labor, shared care, shared responsibility. The loss of one or both biological parents would not end the child's relationship with the family they have grown accustomed to. They could stay with the people that they know as opposed to being shipped off to aunts or uncles or grandparents. But laws aren't written for when things go good. They come into play when things go bad. And right after it goes bad, it could get wild. For instance, if one mother leaves, she's not just leaving a spouse, she's leaving multiple legal parents. In family court, custody is decided by determining the best interest of the child, not biology, not fairness. That means you could not only lose custody of your biological children, but you could owe the former family child support on all the other kids. As a practical example, in the early years of the Brown family, Janelle worked outside the home. Christine was the primary caretaker of Janelle's children. If Janelle left, like she did in the past, many, many times, I think 4 or 5 times, custody wouldn't hinge on biology. It would hinge on time, care, and stability. Because Christine provided daily care and her children were raised alongside Janelle's as siblings, part of the one big happy family, Christine would be in a stronger legal position to be awarded custody of Janelle's children, stronger than both Cody and Janelle. Inheritance, where it really falls apart. Inheritance under this system would be a full mess, okay? Because remember, all assets are community property. There is no his money or her money. There's no individual estate by default. That means when one spouse dies, assets don't pass to their children. They pass to the surviving spouses. Basically, a morbid form of musical chairs, Survivor Polygamy edition. Yet I digress. Eventually, what's left of the estate would reach to children after it passes through whoever's hands is left. And just like that, through the back door enters the opportunity for jealousy, favoritism, resentment, and quiet retaliation. In the event that a parent wanted to ensure their children received anything directly, it would have to be planned in advance, explicitly. That likely means trusts, legal instruments, formal agreements, all of which every adult would have to consent to. And let's be honest, in families already built on unequal power, who controls those arguments? Who decides which children are provided for? Who gets labeled greedy for even asking the question? Inheritance doesn't just divide money, it divides families. As my dad said, where there's a will, there's a bunch of family and friends ready to collect.
Message.
Enforcement, the part no one likes to talk about. Shh. If a legal path for plural marriage exists, then all forms would have to be illegal, not symbolic, not lightly discouraged, but meaningfully prohibited. You can't offer a legal framework on one hand and tolerate informal religious only marriages on the other. That's how abuse hides. That's how accountability disappears. Take Utah as an example. Polygamy was decriminalized, reducing it to a low level infraction, essentially a traffic ticket. This is because there's no legal alternative. In this framework, that decriminalized state wouldn't work. Practicing polygamy outside the legal system would have to be treated as a serious crime, not because the relationship exists, but because of what it represents. It would fall under its own category of fraud. Amongst other things, you are presenting yourself as married without the legal obligations, manipulating partners without enforceable protections. I propose the level be increased to a second-degree felony. Real prison time, real fines, essentially punitive enough to be prohibitive. And importantly, that liability wouldn't stop with the husband. Anyone participating in this fraudulent structure could be subject to penalties.
Why are you being so mean? You're a mean man.
This isn't cruelty, it's consistency. A legal path would exist. Choosing not to use it would be an intentional misrepresentation of your relationship. The Sister Wives reality check. The cast of Sister Wives is in a unique financial position, undoubtedly, reportedly earning around $1 million a season per cast member. Early on, Cody used to say something very specific whenever the issue of wives leaving came up. He said that if a wife wanted to go, he'd buy her a house next door, he'd happily pay her child support, and she could leave. Nobody's a prisoner here. And that sounds great until it stops being theoretical. Because when the wives actually left, the story changed. He demanded half of their assets. For most polygamous families, not on a 20-season reality show, divorce would be financially catastrophic. But in the case of the Browns, Christine and Mary paid for their houses themselves. However, in order to keep the equity in her home, Christine gave up her financial stake in Coyote Pass. When it came to Mary, Cody took all the equity from Mary's Vegas home. In order to get it, he promised her a chance to reconcile their relationship and a 50-50 split of the equity. She's still fighting to get that payout. Ultimately, informal systems reward power, not contribution. Here's my final take. I'm not advocating for this system. I don't think legalization eliminates abuse. I think it redistributes it. Legalization isn't a magic shield. It doesn't fix power imbalances. It codifies them. When an exit is negotiable, expensive, or conditional, that does not lead to freedom. That's just another form of control. It should be heavily noted that my framework for legalization doesn't even begin to address the emotional toll, the social conditioning, or the abuses that women and children endure in these systems today. The real question isn't could polygamy be legal? It's whether any system could make it safe, fair, and truly voluntary for everyone involved.
Oh, man. I can't believe you figured it out.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed, and subscribe to my other channel, My Take on Reality Live. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below, call into the Tuesday live stream to give your opinion, or leave a speak pipe or many speak pipes at speakpipe.com/mytakeonreality. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die